So this is a hard video to do because this information and even talking about the non-physical world has been so not only so suppressed but also shamed in a way of like if you talk about it you're like a crazy person or like you're like psycho, like what are you talking about, like you know the the a lot of the if you're a normal person that like watches late night talk shows like I used to, and you know like takes in the news every day, like you pretty much go about your life thinking that you were born, you're gonna have a okay life, and then you die. And a lot of people maybe think nothing happens. Maybe you're indoctrinated into a religion, you think you go to heaven or hell, whatever. But from my understanding, and I'm talking about this because to understand this, what I'm about to say is a big key and piece in understanding what the actual F is going on with COVID-19 and everything. So we're human beings, right? Can we see eye to eye on that so far? We're human beings. We're in a third dimension, okay? We were born, we'll eventually die. So before, though, we dropped into this physical human being form, this third dimensional form, we were higher states of consciousness that weren't in a physical body, not in human form. Not to say we didn't have past lives and stuff like that in human form before, but before we dropped into this body, we were not in physical form, but higher states of consciousness. And right now, even so, we are still higher states of consciousness. We're just higher states of consciousness in human form, experiencing it through the human body. So even though our bodies are third dimensional and we're in the third dimension, our awareness is of a higher dimension, whether you're aware of it or not. And what can we say about this? It's an experience, right? Not every soul, not every fragment of awareness in the quantum field drops in to have the human being experience. It's an experience. It's cool. It's special. So that knowingness and that idea of this being an experience and something sought after sets the scene for kind of current events. There's this is where I'll lose some people, but it's okay, whatever. There's other, so we're in the third dimension, right now, more or less. And there's many other dimensional fields on this earth, whether you want to call it a plane, earth grid, right? We're in a time, space reality. There's other entities among us that we can't see because they're not in physical form like us. And I'm referring to mostly the fourth dimension. And for thousands and thousands of years, and some of them even longer than that, they've been controlling and having fun with controlling the human race. And they have literally been getting off to human fear, human suffering, human negative emotion. And I get it, if this is the first time you're hearing this, like, what the fuck are you talking about, Nick? Like, you really lost it. But I invite you to to check in with your own body and your own senses, whether this resonates with you or not, because it's playing into this bigger picture of again, taking a breath and being like, so what are these masks all about? If you look at the real, the real scientific studies saying that they don't work, that it's wearing a bandana over your mouth and your nose doesn't do jack shit. So what are the masks really all about? And at a very subconscious, at a very energetic level, this is what they are about. There are entities that have been controlling the human race, again, for thousands and thousands of years, that the number one are actually quite terrified right now because there's a mass awakening in consciousness going on, and they're kind of pulling out all the last ditch efforts to save themselves, even though it's a battle that's already over and won. But regardless, this, the masks and everything, it's just a manifestation, a physical manifestation of what's been going on for thousands and thousands of years. And, in current times, I keep going back to this. I love it's because it's true. Like Kanye West's song "New Slaves," like, yeah, sure, there's no, cotton fields now and blatant slavery, shall we say, more or less going on in the world right now. But this whole notion of people working like, super hard minimum wage jobs and, are just, slaves to the financial systems and credit cards and student loan debt and, emotional slaves to people in their lives. And there's the energy of slavery is still more alive than ever before right now. And the masks symbolically are a whole part of that slavery system. I mean, you go through a drive-through now, and you see the minimum wage McDonald's guy, serving you food, and it's like, you can see it now. It's like, oh my God, like it's all coming together. These minimum wage workers now wearing masks, like it's like a whole nother level of like being able to see the energetics of their job and what they have to go through, and the hard work that a lot of these people are doing for like hardly any pay. And so many people are in fear, and this is again the last like ditch effort for these beings to get off to the human beings suffering and in fear, and they love it. It's like their sustenance, their food. The more in fear and the more scared that human beings are, these fourth dimensional beings, get off to it. And again, this is nothing new. This has been happening for thousands and thousands of years on this earth, grid, plane, whatever you want to call it. And this COVID-19 has been this last 6 months has been like a massive, massive, massive opportunity for other human beings to wake up and to, whether it's fully grasping what I just said or not, but even just, a lot of it's more subtle and just being like, putting two and two together and even being like, oh my God, like there's so much stuff that doesn't make sense with this COVID-19 stuff, or like, like even for me, like last September 11th, when I was living in New York, I passed by like the old Twin Towers, and there was like people with posters saying like, it was an inside job, and I was like, what are they talking about? It was an inside job, like it was fucking Osama bin Laden. But like, because of this COVID-19 stuff, I have a very different truth now about 9/11 and everything that's happened with that and everything. But yeah, that's just kind of the tip of the iceberg. But yeah, I think I'll leave it there for now. But yeah, it's just this like I said, to fully understand what's going on, you have to go beyond the third dimensional, our everyday lives of like, like paying the bills, going to work, numbing out, eating food, drinking beer, watching Netflix, you know, like like you have to go beyond the everyday programming of the human life, and to sense into and to feel that there's bigger things happening that we can't necessarily see with our two eyes right now. We get to tap into our penile gland in our third eye, and just start sensing things. And if you're not familiar with doing this kind of work, it sounds like hard and mystifying at first, because the people who don't want you to know about it, like the upper, and in the government, it's like the deep state. And again, even like 4 years ago, I was like, what are they talking about? Like, what's Trump talking about? Like deep state? Like, he's like, but the more aware you are, the more you realize there is a deep state. But back to what I was saying, a lot of these people in government and these elite humans that have been assisting these fourth dimensional entities have mystified all of this spiritual stuff, which is our natural state as human beings, as awareness in human form. And what it really comes down to is just getting back in touch with your feeling states. It's becoming aware in your present moment states. And all that means is, what do you feel? Do you genuinely feel, happy in this moment, or sad, or angry, or depressed, and not bypassing that with, a lot of people do it. I've done it, do it with food sometimes, or alcohol, or like, entertainment, whatever. But it's really just like coming into attunement with what you're actually feeling in every moment. And then your senses come back online. We're designed to be very sensitive beings. But a society is not controllable. If they are in touch with their sensitive sides, if they're in touch with their intuition, if they're in touch with their their feeling, their power. And the almost like paradoxical thing is, if you're not in touch with your feelings, then you're going to be run by your feelings. Because that's what, again, I mentioned this today in a Instagram post of like, the news controlling you, emotionally grooming you. And it's like, that's how they, if you're not working on your feelings, and you're not just allowing yourself to fully express how you feel in certain situations, then the feelings become your bitch. It's quite ironic, but yeah, I'll leave it at that. It's just 13 minutes, it's a little bit longer than I wanted, but whatever. But yeah, that's all for now. I'll probably do more videos on this later, but yeah, this is a combination of my own intuitive downloads, you can call them, and some other guides I've been following, which is kind of like a summary of, again, what's been going on, and the deeper ramifications of COVID-19. And as crazy as all this sounds, if you're new to it, it's a very exciting time. Humanity's been in a very small box for a very long time, and this is the first domino, if you will, or the first wave of humanity waking up out of the coma that it's been in for a very long time. So stay tuned.